Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It's August 19th. We are live, and let's see. Yes, we are live. I just got my calendar reminder. It's August 19th, my little time sensitive today at 7 a.m. reminder for Wake Up Legendary just came up. And we are live with another guest today. If this is your first time tuning in, or if you've never joined us before, or whatever, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And also, if you'd like, on the screen here, there's a little text message number. You can text into 813-296-8553. You just text the letters WUL, and you'll get a text message reminder every single morning when we go live. It's non-intrusive. We're not trying to sell anything. We just send a little message out and just say, hey, we're going live, tune in. And it has a little link on Facebook you can just tap and you pop right into the live. It's super easy. Every morning we go live and we bring on another guest, and we've done this now with, I think, around 500 different people in the last 2.5 years. It's maybe just a little less or a little more than 500 people. People just from all over the world, from every walk of life, every age. I think the oldest person we've had is 81 years old, who is starting their online business. They had tens of thousands of followers on TikTok. Pretty crazy. It's a fun story. But we just share stories, and we allow people to kind of share their journey and their experience, and how they did it, and maybe unpack a few of their secrets along the way as well. So this morning, we've got somebody who's from where I'm living now, Danielle, who's now somewhere else, but we share similar cities. Tell us a little bit about, where you're from and kind of your journey to coming online, Danielle. And before you do that, if everybody can give a little hand clap emoji in the chat just to welcome Danielle to the show.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, so my name is Danielle. I am 28, originally born and raised in Phoenix, which is where Matt currently lives.
Nice.
So I lived there. I went to college there. I was there for the majority of my life, and then I ended up going to the DC area, in Virginia, Northern Virginia, for grad school. I went to PA school there, and was there for about 5 years in that kind of area. And currently I am residing in Chicago, and so that's a new home base for me as of a few weeks ago. But that's where I'm at now.
Cool. Right on. So
How I got started. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Bring us in. No. Just bring us into your story a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So my story, I am trained to be in the medical field. I did extra training to work in the ER. That's kind of all I know. And so my schooling for the past, like, at least 6 years, probably more than that, has been geared toward being in the medical field and working in the ER. And it's just been brutal for the past several years. And so COVID hit. I'm sure everybody has their own experience with that, but mine, I can say from my perspective, was a lot to handle. Not only physically, like the hours were just so taxing on my body, but mentally too. I started to get very drained, and I started to question whether or not this was something that I wanted to do. But it was really difficult because I spent so much time and money in such a big investment into this career path that I was convinced at one point that was for me, that was exactly what I wanted. And so, after kind of the mental taxation that I started to go through, I really started to question it. And so, there was a lot of other factors and specifics that led into pushing me away from medicine that I won't get into. But it was a culmination of many things. Ultimately, I decided to leave my job. I was just so fed up with it. So I quit, and I was like, well, great. What do I do now? So I just started to do a lot of research on TikTok, actually, and how to make money online, because something else that I love to do is travel. And so I am the type of person who will travel for months at a time, and just kind of go and live in other countries. And so I wanted something where I didn't have to physically be in a certain place to make money. That was a big requirement for me. I just wanted the ability to kind of live my life on my own terms, and be the one to call the shots, essentially. And so yeah, I tried a bunch of side hustles. I tried e-commerce. I made a clothing company that was very fun, but not, I wouldn't say profitable by any means. But yeah, I just tried a bunch of things, and then I stumbled across this $7 course, and the rest is history. And here I am. So
Well, cool.
yeah,
That's a cool kind of
yeah,
story and journey. Yeah, the
yeah,
clothing company, the funny part is like I'm not super anti like clothing company or like e-commerce. It just is a shit ton of work. And
it's so much work. Yeah,
yeah, it's so aggressive. But yeah, I mean, it is fun. Like it is fun to kind of dream and create and make stuff
for
that's
sure,
physical and tangible you can put in people's hands. That is cool. Um,
for
well,
sure.
nice. So you get on. So when you started, I'm curious when you started that e-commerce kind of clothing thing. Did you have like, did you buy a course or did you just kind of dive in and try to like use people's examples?
Yeah, I did a YouTube certification. I just kind of researched everyone on YouTube and tried to learn from them and like yeah, figure out SEO on my own, and yeah, just kind of took everyone's anecdotal experience for my own. And
Yeah,
um yeah, no course. I just kind of dove in the deep end, and I was like, well, let's give this a shot. Like, what do I have to lose, type of thing. So
cool.
yeah, it was more so just like for fun. But yeah, I started that, let's see, it was around 4th of July last year, so it's been a little over a year, and
Okay.
it was fun. I was pretty gung ho on it for a while, but it kind of faded quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that term YouTube certification. That's hilarious. The and really like so you found us
hmm,
after having done that and you found us like last year or something like that. Tell us,
yeah,
I'm curious about, here's what I'm curious about. I'm curious about the first 6 months of this year,
yeah,
and because things really started to pop off for you like middle of this year or so. Like
yeah,
tell us about like your journey of like buying our challenge and consuming. And here's why I'm asking is because the e-learning industry is like kind of just at its very beginning start of being like really popular and really like common.
yeah,
And so I'm just like curious for a lot of people how they digest e-learning and like formal training online, because we do have people who buy it and then come back a year later and
yeah,
actually go through it, or there's people who buy it and they'll literally go through everything, every single
yeah,
video that's in their training in like 2 weeks. It's crazy.
yeah.
But the nice part is you can go through it at your own pace and stuff. But I'm curious, from December to like June or July or something, did you have like a gap or delay, or did you just kind of like chill, or what happened?
Yeah, I think how quickly or slowly everybody gets through the material is very relative to what their life experience is at that given time. And so for me, I bought the course initially in December of last year. And so I was so adamant. I was so excited. Like, I'm going to do this course. This is going to change my life. Um, and I finished it. And then I just kind of let my ego and my fears of failure and my, oh my gosh, I don't have any experience in business or marketing or whatever kind of consume me. And so um, I actually started working hospital shifts again. I never went back full time, but I did pick up a couple shifts here and there because that's what I know. I know that I can do it. I know that I'm good at it. And so it was kind of my safety net that I just kept there.
Yeah.
So I sat on the class for a long time. I had every intention of eventually getting back to it, but um, I wouldn't say that I made it a priority because I had a lot of like self doubt and like fear of failure coming in, and like yeah, but at the very core of it, I did know like I can't fail if I don't start, type of thing. Um so I finally decided to get into it. I think I got to a point where even picking up hospital shifts for me, just I dreaded it. I hated it. I did not want to do it anymore. And I was like, if I don't change right now, nothing's gonna change. And so um I decided to start back up, and it really did take off pretty quickly for me, which is not very typical for a lot of people. I think I've been very fortunate in that sense. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I just, it took me a while, but I'm at the point too now where this is a serious opportunity. Like, you can really do this from wherever you want, and you can make it as big or as small as you want. You can kind of scale it to whatever your goals are. Um, and another thing for me, this kind of goes into why I named my business what I did, is
Yeah.
um, inflation and everybody, we're all struggling, right? Like it's been hard on us all with the inflation. And so I talked to my boss. I said, hey, I need a raise. Like, you need to pay me more. And they said, no, like we can't afford that. And so that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I would say that was maybe in May or June, and that's when I really switched into this digital marketing like niche, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like somebody telling me that I'm not worth this amount of money was really like, oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm gonna work for myself then and prove you wrong. Well, prove it to myself, but yeah. So
Yeah, a little pettiness, a little
yeah, a little pettiness. Yeah, it did motivate me. Yeah.
that's hey, sometimes people think that that's like people think that's lame or like
Yeah.
that's like bad energy or something, but man, it
No.
is a little it is impressive what people can do with a little bit of that like chip on their shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just whatever's your breaking point. Like it's gonna find you, and then that's gonna push you over into doing whatever you've wanted to do for a while. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And also I kind of feel like, you know, even the angle of my question where I said what happened was like kind of a bad frame to say that because it almost makes it seem like something went wrong. But the truth is like
Okay.
everybody needs sort of that like incubation period where like they
Yeah.
come in, they start to get some training, they click around, they just need to like the human brain just needs to like it has different settling times. So like some people
Mm,
are gonna like come in and purchase something and it might just sit for like a year
yeah.
just because they need to log in for a second and just
Yeah.
look at a screen and just be like, you know, and
Yeah.
they just kind of sit
Yeah.
there and it's like, are you
For
gonna do
sure.
it? And you're like, what the hell's going on? And it's just
Yeah.
like, no, my brain's coming to grips with like so many questions that are going on in the background. Am I okay with this? Do
Yeah.
I am I proud of this? Will I be happy doing this? Like and
Mm-hmm.
and part of it is just like there's certain people, I'm this kind of person and I've learned to kind of give myself a little bit of grace in this, but there's certain kind of people who just they need a little bit of time to just let the dust settle from making a big decision or
Mm-hmm.
claiming something or running after something. They're just like, hey, I need to like strap my
Yeah.
like new shoes on, my running shoes on, and like it takes me a little longer to tie my shoes than it does normal people. So hey, just chill
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And I always ask people about that span of time between purchase and actually like,
Yeah.
all right, here we go, you know,
Yeah.
because it's so fascinating to me that and it feels so freeing to me to hear people talk about that span of time
I
because
agree.
everybody who's listening is just like, dude, yes, I get it. Like I've had so many times where I just need to like chill and
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I definitely agree.
when you started posting videos and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like from a business content creation standpoint, was that new for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that was another big thing that I had to work through why I put it off for so long. I did not like the idea. I didn't like putting myself out there. I don't know if it's a maybe an insecurity thing, I'm not sure, but yeah, hated it. Hated the idea. I actually was like, I'm not going to put my face anywhere. No, not going to happen. Um but yeah, I just worked my way through the blueprints and realized that that's, if I really want to make this work, I need to kind of market myself. And so I did, and no, totally new experience. My first account actually got shut down, um, which was a huge like defeat for me, but I wasn't gonna let that kind of define me. Yeah, so it got shut down. I finally had reached, I was able to put the link on my page, and I don't remember. I had a video that went very, very, very viral.
Okay.
Um, and so it really kind of jump started everything, but then the whole account got shut down. I'm not even sure why.
Yeah.
um, and which is unfortunate because now I'm just so cautious. And thankfully now I've been able to build it way more than what my first one was.
Cool.
But still, it's just frustrating. It's a roadblock that you really have to overcome, and for a lot of people, it, I think, stops them. Like a lot of people don't get past that, and so I
Yep.
can empathize with that. So
Yeah. I mean, I've seen accounts grow
mhm.
remarkably fast and
Yeah,
then kind of drop off randomly. It's just sort of
yeah,
weird. random and out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But and some people just don't recover.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some people do. And like we've had people, massive affiliates, lose their accounts. And, it's night and day. One of them comes back from it, the
Mm,
other one doesn't. And I don't know what that
okay.
is,
Yeah.
but I think that there's some skills. Like I think, you know, there's lots of people who have built huge accounts and gone viral and really crushed it.
Hmm.
Um, and who didn't really have skills, and it sort of eventually fizzled out. But man,
Okay.
I think getting a big account and then or even just growing an account to 1,000 followers, let's say, and then having it shut down and doing it again, there's some real skill there.
I think it's just determination. I wouldn't say I had any skills because I'm starting seriously from ground zero. Like I had nothing. I know medicine and that's about it. So
Yeah,
it was all new. And
but throughout the process, I mean, how many times have you posted to TikTok? Like it has to be in the hundreds, right?
yeah,
Yeah, there's some skills there for
I
sure.
think it's just kind of observation, like I mean, what you guys teach. Seriously, it's like watch,
Yeah,
don't reinvent the wheel, like find what
sure.
works and then replicate it. So it is just kind of strategically figuring out how the system works and making it work in your favor. So, and I still
Yeah,
have a
the
lot of room
same
to grow
way.
for sure, but
Yeah.
yeah,
The same way you would at a job, and you would learn
yeah,
skills at a job. You sit there and watch a dude with a jackhammer, and you're like, "Oh, that's
yeah,
how you jackhammer concrete. All right,
yeah,
cool." And then you do it 100 times, and you're like, "Wow, like I'm an expert in jackhammering concrete, I guess, or
I can
whatever."
jackhammer too.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, or shooting a
for sure.
basketball or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. You just
Funny.
watch it enough times and you can make it work. So
For sure.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so on a daily basis, are you like, because you've got like leads flowing through pretty much every day now, right?
yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
leads coming through your system all day long, every day, pretty much.
yeah,
Which is cool because you're out in a vehicle, you're going out to the lake or whatever, and
yeah.
you'll probably get off this and you'll probably have more leads sitting in your autoresponder account. And then you'll go on to do God knows what over the weekend, hanging out on the lake, having a good time, and
Yeah.
it'll still be running for you. It'll still
Yeah.
be going. And maybe you check in to post something from your drafts folder so you can keep your account rolling. But I
Yeah.
mean, you're not at a desk like, in
It is.
Excel spreadsheets or something like
Oh
that. Like,
gosh.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is the biggest breath of fresh air, Matt. Like I am not used to working from anywhere at all. And so when I physically have to be in an ER, it's just a stressful environment. And I knew that going into it, but I think I've changed a lot as a person to where that no longer is something I want. I don't want high
Yeah.
stress. I just want life to be kind of chill. Um, so yeah, it's the biggest game changer is yeah, I'm going to the lake right now and I will, post at some point, provided I have service. But yeah, I'm very much a person about work-life balance, and I just did not have that at all in the ER. And so this has really given me that work-life balance. And like I said, I love traveling, and so I can do this from any country in the world. So provided I have internet connection and it still runs. So the fact that you can make your business so automated is seriously a game changer.
It is. It really is. And it's something I don't know. I grasped onto that idea when I was in college. I was sitting in my dorm room and somebody showed me a video. It was network marketing, but I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so
Yeah.
rich." And and it was all just about like selling this travel product or I don't even know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just remember looking at it and being like, "Oh my god, like what an incredible like aha moment!" Right?
Idea. Yeah.
The cool part is like that business is never a business that I made money with and that I ever did anything with, or that idea for a business was never anything that I gravitated towards, but it was the spark, right? It was
Mm,
like the spark, it was the moment. And that little video, it was created by a friend, kind of a mentor of mine. Um, and I was just kind of like wow, like all I saw was the power of the internet. That's all that I saw.
Yeah,
And content creators, sometimes they get in their head about like, oh, I'm like making this video, and is it going to be like every detail of like a side hustle, or am I going to give every single thing? And it's like, dude, like all people are doing is sitting out there and having a realization of like, oh
yeah,
my God, the internet.
yeah.
Wow, I never knew I could get a chunk of the pie from the internet. You're right. The
Seriously.
internet is up all day long, 24 hours a day. There's billions of people coming online every single year. It's like, it's such a no-brainer.
I agree. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
I think there's a big gap too with like I don't want to date myself, but I am in like a little bit of an older generation, and so we were very much raised to, do the whole, go to school, get a good job, stay at that job for however many years. But I think the younger generation is really grasping like you can work online and leverage the power of the internet. And so yeah, I definitely I don't want to say that I had like a aha moment like you did with your friend in your dorm room, but what did it for me was I bought the course from some mom with 5 kids who like wanted to make it her side hustle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely have more time than she does because 5 kids is a lot to handle.
Right.
So I was like,
Right.
let me try this. If she can do it, I can do it. Yeah. So I
Jessica.
wouldn't say that
Isn't
it was.
that is that Jessica?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
She's
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, she's great. But yeah, so I was like, well, if she can make it work, I can for sure make it work because I have no kids and a lot more time than she does, I'm sure. So um yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, but yeah, and then like after getting on board with this and just kind of making the decision, like, oh, I'm going to make this work for myself, doing the research and just figuring out like there's a lot that you can do with online marketing. It's honestly endless, and knowing that like this really is the future. Like my job in the medical field as a provider, like it's gonna be obsolete somewhat in the future, and so
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna wait around for that. I guess I'm gonna kind of decide my worth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally, totally.
yeah,
That's cool. That's awesome and very
yeah.
inspirational. I
Mhm.
feel like yeah, that realization of like taking my life back, and a big thing for me
Yeah,
was like having personal autonomy. Like I didn't want to be
yes.
dependent on anybody. I hate the feeling of being dependent on anybody. And I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm out
Yeah,
on that. I don't
yeah,
want that.
yep. Can
On a
totally relate.
daily basis, are you like creating, posting a couple videos a day, or what's your creation process like?
Yeah, I usually pick one day and make as many as I can, and that usually ends up being like anywhere from 20 to 30 videos. And so I like to work a lot at one time and then have several days of just doing whatever I want. And so that's just how I've always been. And so that's what works for me. And so as soon as I run out of videos, then I'm like, okay, time to schedule a day and like make more.
Yep.
Um, so I don't really have a schedule. I don't really stick to any, timeline or anything like that. But I do try and put out 3 videos a day minimum, and so I just make sure I have enough to do that every single day. And then when I run out, I sit down and do more. So that's kind of
Love
my process.
it. I love it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Here, for anybody who's here, I'm going to give you the last word on today's interview. For
Okay.
anybody who's here who's a little bit like, I'm just getting started. I've got a job. I'm kind of like feeling this out, gonna test the
Mhm.
waters. What
Mhm.
would you tell that person who's like a little newer to the e-learning experience, and also like trying to figure out and solve like, is could I carve out a piece of the pie from this whole internet thing for myself?
Yeah. I think anybody can have a piece of the pie, truly. I fully believe that, but I think where it kind of separates certain people from others is your drive and how much work you put into it. Like you can't just expect this to be some easy thing and it to work itself out and then, pay you dividends in the long run. Like you really do have to put in the work up front, but how bad do you want it type of thing. Like how bad do you want to make this change in your life and step away from your job. So, and I understand there's a lot of like psychological blocks and factors that come into that. Like everybody has their thing in life. Everybody has their, you know, thing that's stopping them, or fear is usually what it comes down to. And so, um,
Yep.
yeah, so
True.
I just, for me, it took me, like you said, like 6 months to kind of work through that and finally make the decision to act. But I think for me, I sat down one day and I was like, okay, I am clearly not happy. So what can I do to make myself happy in life? Like, I'm going to change this, right? I can't just sit here and take it. So I wrote down, like, what are my priorities? Like, what do I want out of life? And so, my time is huge, and then freedom to do whatever I want when I want. Usually, AKA travel is what I mean. But yeah, so I figured, I cannot do that with my hospital job. I cannot do that working long hours and being this stressed. And so once you're clear on what you want and why you want it, everything else seems to come a lot easier. Like, okay, if I really, really want the freedom and time, what lengths am I going to go to make this work? And I'm sure, you guys hit home on this, and you guys kind of pound this into people, but it is work up front. But you do get to a point where everything is automated, and you just have to make little tweaks along the way and add things as you learn more, because it is a never ending learning process. And so, adjust with the times, adjust with new information that you learn. Like, it's just never ending. And so, put in the work up front, and it's not an instant gratification. It's not. But that's what an investment is. It's an investment right now that's going to pay you off later. So I would say just get clear on your goals and what you want. And, if your motivations are strong enough, your why, whether that's kids or, paying off debt or your freedom, like in my case, is that strong enough to push you into do this and, like, make it work for you? Because it will work if you make it.
I love that. It'll work if you work, if you make it work.
Yeah, it's not going to work on its own. You have to make it work.
That was a really powerful little, like, tirade you just went on there, and that was cool. Thank you. I feel like, all right, I'm ready to go kick some ass today. Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's awesome. Well, Danielle, thanks so much. Is this, let me put this up here real quick. Is this the best place for people to find you?
Yep. That's my newest one. Yep.
Cool. Right on. Awesome. I love the handle. I love the message and the sort of freedom that exists behind your energy is super cool. So thank you so much for that, Danielle.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was nice talking to you.
Anytime to have you back on. If you hit us up in a couple months, let us know what's happened and where you're at, and we'd love to have you back on.
Sounds good. I will.
Cool. Enjoy the lake.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See ya. All right, guys. So Decide Your Worth 1. You can find her on TikTok. Decide Your Worth, and then the number 1. And then also, if you wanted to find her on Instagram, you can just remove the number 1. It's just Decide Your Worth. And you can find her on Instagram as well. And go give her a follow and let her know, hey, I found you on Wake Up Legendary. And I've been pushing everybody to go live on their TikTok and Instagram. So go comment, hey, when are you going live next? And let's get Danielle on some TikTok lives. I've been peer pressuring the hell out of everybody over the last week, or 2 or 3, and I've been seeing some people follow through. So add to the peer pressure. This is the only healthy peer pressure you can give. Add to the peer pressure. Go give her a comment. Let her know, hey, can't wait for you to go live. Let's do it. And give her some likes on her videos. Comment. Let her know, hey, I saw you on Wake Up Legendary. And we'll be back here on Monday. It'll be August, 22nd. We'll be back here Monday, same time, same place. As always, we've got an awesome guest lined up for Monday. Peace out, everybody. See ya.